Chapter 22. The soldiers come to Chaoge. Zhenan City. King Shenwu's study. King Shenwu looked at the report in front of him, his eyes narrowing slightly. As Gao Xianzi expected, except for the Yingzhou Yuan soldiers, the Northern Expeditionary Army is fully surrounding Gao Xianzi. 5 million men, Gao Xianzi only has 700,000, and has been circling for quite some time, Sima Changkong exclaimed. Gao Xianzi. King Shenwu's face grew gloomy. King Shenwu had always been seeking for talent, and had taken good care of Gao Xianzi. But Gao Xianzi was still heading towards Chaoge City. Obviously, his heart is still in Dahon. His own efforts to enlist him have not been effective. 5 million troops. They will eventually meet at Chaoge City. Can it hold back this 5 million troops this time? A strategist frowned. Grand Marshal, Gao Xianzi's past report asking for your support. Do we still have to go? Sima Changkong reminded. King Shenwu looked at Sima Changkong. Mr. Sima, what do you think? The news that came from the past, that first-class Grand Duke Chongsheng of the Great Yuan Imperial Dynasty, traveled to the imperial capital to seek peace. It has been some time now, and there is about to be a result, isn't there? The days of war are numbered, so let's end up with another good karma, Sima Changkong said in a deep voice. King Shenwu's eyes narrowed slightly and said, but if Guhai doesn't die, this king will never be able to obtain Gao Xianzi. Sima Changkong frowned slightly, and the group of strategists in the study were also silent for a while. Just at this moment, a voice came steeply. Ha ha, Long Shenwu, I'm back, a woman's voice came. There weren't many people who dared to call out the Divine Marshal King's name, and a woman's direct call immediately caused the faces of the schemers to sink. But the next moment, hearing the woman's voice, their mouths opened wide. Before they had time to turn their heads, boom, the study door was kicked open. Divine Marshal King. This is his own study, without his permission. Who dares to kick in his door? Are the guards outside all rice buckets? Boom. But it was Long Wenyu who jumped into the study at once. Greetings to County Lord Wenyu. The group of strategists immediately bowed respectfully. King Shenwu and Sima Changkong smiled bitterly. Long Wenyu. She was the only one who dared to kick the door of the Divine Marshal King's study. And don't be unconvinced, under certain circumstances, the door of the Holy Lord's study, Long Wenyu would dare to kick it. This is also the great Jian sent on her to favored, spoiled to the god of the king of the great Jian third prince. Also take her no way. Wenyu, didn't you go back to the imperial capital? How come you're back? King Shenwu frowned. Behind him, Master Liu Nian followed and crossed in, his face showing bitterness. Forgive me, Marshal, forgive me, everyone. Master Liu Nian said with a bitter smile. The crowd instantly shook their heads and smiled bitterly to indicate that they were fine. See you. It wasn't once or twice that Long Wenyu kicked the door. Quick, take me to see my brother-in-law. The old man has agreed to let you send me to my brother-in-law. Long Wenyu shouted excitedly. Divine Marshal King looked at Long Wenyu in confusion. County Master Wenyu, last time, you weren't allowed to leave because of a decree from His Holiness. You went back to the imperial capital and asked the Holy Lord for the decree. How could the Holy Lord have agreed to it? It's at war with Dayuan right now, Sima Changkong said in shock. The great Qian Emperor is very precious to Long Wenyu, going to the battlefield and risking his life. And there has been the last crisis. The saints should be more strict. What warring? The old man has declared a truce. Long Wenyu immediately shouted. Oh, the Divine Marshal King's face changed as he looked towards Grandmother Liu Nian. Grandmother Liu Nian nodded and said, not bad. The Holy Lord has already promised the great Yuan emissary. And when we left, we were negotiating the details, so I'm sure that by now, Grand Duke Chongsheng has already traveled to North Flooding City with the Holy Decree, right? and the holy decree that the saint has given you. It shouldn't take long. It will also arrive. The old man said that the war is going to be over, and I'm allowed to go out. Quick, quick. Take me to see my brother-in-law. The old man also moved a holy decree to my brother-in-law, saying that you're allowed to escort me there. Longwen Yu shouted at once. The divine martial king's face changed. Marshal, the 5 million Northern Expeditionary Army should not be far from Chaoge City. Sima Changkong frowned. Tidy up the 3 armies, set off in 3 hours, and head to Chaoge City. King Shenwu immediately ordered. Yes. 2 days later, Baifa City. A fleet of flying boats, carrying Grand Duke Chongsheng, arrived at North Expedition City. Grand Duke Chong, you've returned from Great Qian. An official excitedly greeted him. Yes, back. The deal is done. The war is over. Hey ha ha ha. Where's the Marshal? Chongsheng laughed. The Grand Marshal has brought 5 million troops to attack Chaoge City. It seems like he's going to decapitate Guhai and flatten Great Han. That junior general laughed. What? Behead Guhai? Chongsheng's face changed. Yes, your family's son, Chongming. Because of that Guhai, his whereabouts are unknown until now. The marshal went there, and will definitely give Lord Cheng justice. That junior general laughed. Beheading Guhai, not good. Someone, quick, flying boats. Let's quickly head to Chaoge City. Chongsheng immediately hurriedly said. In the place where the Great Han Dynasty and the Great Yuan Imperial Dynasty met, in a valley. Black gas filled the air, and a large number of blood-red bats flew around inside. Boom. Tilde 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 tilde. With a loud bang, countless black chess suddenly exploded, and the surrounding mountains were instantly razed to the ground, and the countless bats steeply converged and flew into the body of a black-robed man in the valley, disappearing in the twinkling of an eye. Hey ha ha, my divine skill is complete. Guhai, you despicable villain. I want to wipe out my previous shame. Ha ha ha. Chongming rushed up to the sky, and above his back, a pair of bat wings abruptly emerged. Boom. The huge bat wings flapped violently, and Chongming was instantly like a stream of light, shooting towards the direction of Chaoge City. Chaoge City was far away. Gao Xianzi was riding a flying boat, followed by a large number of troops running away. Generals, ahead is Chaoge. It will be safe once we reach Chaoge, Gao Xianzi shouted. Yes, the surrounding generals answered. But, after some days of fighting, 700,000 generals, now only 300,000 were left. Their aura was much weaker. But, as long as Gao Xianzi was there, the generals would not feel tired in general. Not far away, another flying boat flew in. However, it was Bailey Warrior who brought a group of generals to join Gao Xianzi. The wounded soldiers had been sent to the nearby cities. Gao Xianzi looked towards Bailey War. Yes, General, they have all been sent. It's just that this 5 million yuan army is too fierce, Bailey War said bitterly. Don't worry, Chaoge City is close by. Once we reach Chaoge, everything will be fine, Gao Xianzi comforted. But, General, the Marshal hasn't sent a report back. Will the Marshal send troops to support us? Bailey Warrior worried. Gao Xianzi brought troops to protect Dahan, and let King Shenwu come to support him. Thinking differently, Bailey War would never do this bastard thing. However, if King Shenwu did not bring his army, these remaining 300,000 generals would be in real danger. The Northern Expeditionary Army of 5 million, during this period of time, is a large encirclement to encircle themselves, or, even if they escape, they can't escape all. Don't worry, when we get to Chaoge City, everything will be fine, Gao Xianzi comforted. Yes, the generals suppressed the worrying in their hearts and answered. Gao Xianzi's army continued towards Chaoge City. At the back, the Northern Expeditionary Army was naturally in hot pursuit. They were about to arrive at Chaoge City. Once they took it, it would all be over. On a flying boat, the Northern Expedition Grand Marshal sat on the throne on the deck, his eyes gazing into the distance, revealing a hint of a light smile, and said, "Speed up the progress. Within a day, arrive at Chaoge." "Yes," the generals of the four directions answered, and quickly passed on their orders. Chaoge City. The war reports from the four directions also continued to converge. A burst of whirring filled the court. Outside the imperial palace, they begged to see the emperor and waited for him to make a decision. At this moment, inside the imperial palace, Gu Hai, however, did not greet the anxious ministers outside the palace, but instead looked at a very long ceremony in front of him, with Shangguan Trace, Bing Ji, Tang Chu and others standing in front of him. Great Han Emperor, although the preparation time is a bit longer, but after all, I don't know much about these 24 cities. I need to understand first. Before I can write the ceremony of Anmin, I only wrote it today. Please correct me." A hint of confidence flashed in Bing Ji's eyes as she smiled. Gu Hai looked very carefully. While looking, he also used a red pen to draw on this ceremony. Bing Ji frowned slightly, but still waited patiently. After a while, Gu Hai handed the curate back to Bing Ji. "Overall it's good. There are a few points that are debatable." Gu Hai laughed. "More than good. This ceremony was considered stunning." Bing Ji didn't lie. Her ability in literature and politics was extraordinary. For a moment, Gu Hai felt that he had picked up a treasure in general, of course. The way of the imperial court. Naturally, he couldn't show such a strong appreciation. That's why he found a few places, applying some other theories from the Earth in the past. "Impossible. My curatorial theories are already perfect to the extreme." Bing Ji took it in disbelief and looked at it carefully. After looking at it for a while, Bing Ji was shocked. "Tax system. You exempted all the taxes on the income of the people at the bottom. The tax paid by the people at the bottom is less, but the population of the people at the bottom is large. This is a huge tax. You don't want this." No. You increase the commodity tax. By separating the commodities into categories and separating out some of the commodities that need to be taxed, you can collect the tax more reasonably and efficiently, and collect much more, Gu Hai explained. It can still be like this. You have to pay tax for buying things, but no one can find out about it. And in this way, give the people at the bottom a benefit. The people love your policy even more. Bing Ji looked at the tax reform column she had written in shock. Originally, her own calculations were already perfect, but compared to Gu Hai's, it seemed like everything was so dull. Bing Ji blushed. "Overall not bad. Third Army Chief, you." Gu Hai was about to speak, but before he could finish his words, a guard rushed into the hall. "Your Majesty, Gao Xian's army arrived outside of the city. But, with the Yuan soldiers in hot pursuit behind them, the situation is difficult," that guard reported. "Oh," Gu Hai's eyes narrowed. "Finally came. Who?" Suddenly standing up and flinging his sleeves, Gu Hai slowly stepped out of the imperial palace. Bing Ji glanced at the ceremonial theory in her hand that was being corrected by Gu Hai. Biting her lips, she also followed Shangguan Trace and the others to step out of the hall. "Your Majesty, you finally came out." Outside the hall, a group of ministers were in anxiety.